like a glove. Feel that adrenaline.
Happy Saturday and welcome to the Leadoff on the Peak One Sports Network, brought to you by Apogee Grafix, taking your vision to new heights. Go to apogeegrafix.com and use promo code PEAK1 for 10% off your order. I'm Ashton with Tony and Landen here in the studio for the first time in I don't know how long. But about time you're back in here.
Yeah, a really long time.
Yeah, I just thought about all this equipment I had in here and thought, man, that's just a waste of money if I'm going to let y'all be remote all the time. So I thought.
So the boss called us in.
Yeah. I mean, we're done with COVID. Come on, let's just forget remote. No, it's really convenient, but you had scheduling issues with that, so we all just jumped back in the studio. That's what all this stuff is here for. We can't just leave it for one other podcast. But yeah, we're here in studio, getting y'all ready for your sports weekend. Thank you for listening, however you're tuning in. We'll be talking Hall of Fame game, a little bit of training camp injuries. We have some Olympics and some baseball. But first, say goodbye to unruly behavior and hello to a well-mannered pup. The Dapper Dog Academy stands out as a top-notch canine training institute located in Cleburne and serving the DFW Metroplex. You can contact Korri and the Dapper Dog Academy on Facebook or call and schedule a consultation today. All the info is in the description box below. Again, thanks for listening. All right. Texans-Bears Hall of Fame game. I don't really think it matters what the matchup is. When you're talking about the first football game in a while, I mean, not counting UFL or is it UFL now? XFL, USFL, UFL now. The first NFL game in a while, I think everyone's just excited for football to be back. And that may be, outside of Cowboys games, that may be the only preseason game that I watched. And it was kind of like on in the background. But Chicago wins 21-17. Game ended in a weather delay. Not really a big deal. I want to talk about the new kickoff rules. Because I know rules change every season, especially in the NFL, especially lately. Helmets, concussion protocol, stuff like that. And there were rumors of this because this was similar to the XFL, UFL, UFSL, whatever entity they were at the time, that this was kind of like their kickoffs. It limits more running down the field as fast as you can and plowing into guys, where most of your guys line up like 10 yards from each other. And then you have the kicker kicking off by himself. It looks really odd. And I feel old talking like this, like when they implemented the 3-point line in the NBA, some guys like, this just looks weird. This is stupid. And then we just eventually get used to it.
Well, the same as the extra point being moved back and not being on the 2
Yeah, because we look
like now
we look as the
realize that
we look the crossbars being right at the goal line.
Yeah.
And then the guys running into, you've seen the old, I don't even know, maybe the 70s when they moved it up or moved it back. But when the field goal post was in the ground in the middle of the end zone and guys were plowing into it, we're like, this is stupid. Why did they even do that? And they move it back. I'm sure a lot of people thought that was dumb. Adding, would it be 10 yards to any field goal made, extra points, stuff like that. And then, moving back the extra point itself is what you're alluding to, from like 2 yards, which that one, I think people were like, well, it's dumb. It's a give me. Yeah. But yeah, this is, what were y'all's thoughts other than it just looking ridiculous?
On the kickoff?
Yeah, the new kickoff rules.
I like it.
I think it adds a new dynamic and a new challenge to the kickoff game.
It almost makes you want to have a Devin Hester, a Turpin on your team, a guy that all he does is return kicks. He'll play a little bit of receiver, but his job on the team is you just return.
Yeah, because that was a position that was almost eliminated in the NFL.
I mean, really,
how many returns did you ever have on the kickoff? I mean, you would have a punt specialist maybe, but
Hester retired.
Not a kickoff specialist.
Yeah. Yeah, because of concussion issues, they were making it more advantageous to take a touchback.
Right.
Moving it up to the 25-yard line, and it was just kind of something to miss. They score a touchdown, kick the extra point, you go grab a drink, snacks, whatever. Now, at least in that game, it was like must-watch TV. That's the part I
think you
wanted
almost
to see.
saw every possible play on the kickoff. Because if you receive it in playable territory and down it, then it comes out to the 30 now? Or is it any touchback comes out to the 30?
See, that's what I was confused. I think once we figure out the rules, because it seems more like a gimmick when there's different. Because, like, I think if you kick it out of the back of the end zone, I want to say it's the 25. If you bounce it into the return zone, which is, I think, the 20-yard line back to the goal line, I think if the kicker can bounce it and get it into the end zone, you get it at the 20. It's more, it rewards the kicking team because that's harder. You have to get it past the guys to
So we
return
definitely
it.
have a challenge now. We actually have a play going on the kickoff.
Yeah,
where
so-
there's strategy to
So
it.
you can just kick it out of the end zone. It's 25. If the kicker wants to risk kicking it in the kicking zone and they want to receive it and kneel it, they're getting it at you're talking about a 10-yard swing here. They're either going to get it at the 20 or the 30 if you want to kick it to them. And then like Landen said, if you have really good returners, maybe they're going to try to get out there. Because I think actually returning the kick makes it a little more difficult because the guys are much closer. Now,
So, per the rule of the dynamic kickoff, which they're saying is to create a new like free kick design, and they're trying to actually have less touchbacks. They're
Yeah.
trying to make
they're
people-
going
you
the
have to
opposite.
return
yeah.
it.
they're trying to make people return the ball. So
By eliminating the guy, like I said, the guys are lined up much
Yeah.
closer. You're not running downfield and hitting somebody. You're 10 yards away.
yeah,
can only
it
do
makes
so
it
much.
look a lot better when you don't have 11 guys sprinting from 50 yards away at you.
Yeah, and it makes, like I said, I think it makes it more difficult for the kick returner to run through that wall. You're talking about less injuries because you're talking about one of the most meaningless plays in football, but it had such a high percentage of injuries.
Yeah, and the opportunity that the kick returner had with, now you're saying it's essentially a wall. Everyone's at the same depth. At a typical return, when you have stages of that, your gaps don't open up
Yeah.
direct to the end zone. They open up at angles, and you have to find
Because
those breaks.
you also have your kick return team, your blockers lined up how many, like four. Yeah, they're lined up at levels. So you're saying, okay, we're going to open up a gap here. We're going to open the hole here. We are running down the field and taking out that guy. When essentially it's like free for all dodgeball. Everyone's lined up. I guess the kicking team has one extra guy on the line. But it makes you think about who the other returner is back there. Because I think we were talking with the Cowboys, if you have Turpin back there, like, well, what if they kick to the other guy? So Turpin has to block now. And you're like,
So
well,
they have an option of maximum of 2. You can't have more than 2 returners. So you could hypothetically have one returner, an extra guy on the line.
So here's a thought with that, because they were talking. I heard them having a conversation about this. If you have one guy back there, it makes it a lot easier for the kicker to get the ball to hit inside the 20 and still get it to the end zone. Because if you have 2 guys and you put them 2/3 of the way across the field each,
Yeah.
it's hard to get it through. But if you have one guy in the middle, it's a bigger risk because you're saying, okay, I'm going to kick to the corner and not make it go out of bounds because then it'd be up to 40. So that would be the difference. But yeah, if you had a fast returner, you think he's going to line up right in the middle and he's
I
going to
think
go
this is
try to
gonna-
get that.
This will
ball.
change, obviously, the way the game's played. But I think we're going to see an evolution in the next few years if they stick with this, because this is just a test run this year. And if they don't like it, then they don't go with it anymore. After this season, if they continue this, I think we're going to see more dynamic with the kickers, and we're going to see some kicks we've never seen. I mean, things where guys are probably going to try to get it just inside that 20 line and try to get a big high bounce that a guy can't field that can get in. You're going to see things you've never thought you would see before with this, because now that's what kickers are going to work on, is trying to figure out how they can win these battles.
I found the yardage rule.
Okay.
So the landing zone
Inside the 20.
inside the 20. If a kick doesn't land, or if a kick hits short of the landing zone, it's treated as it's kicked out of bounds. The ball
Okay.
goes to
Interesting.
the 40. And
Shouldn't be too difficult, though.
the play, it blows dead as soon as the kick lands. So if they bounce it outside of the 20,
That's where they get the
It
ball?
goes to the 40.
Oh, the 40.
It's just like out of bounds.
Any kick that hits in
If
the
it doesn't
landing
make to
zone
the
must
20.
be returned.
Okay.
So if you hit it at the 20-yard line and it bounces
Into the end zone,
into
they
the
have
end
to
zone,
return
they
it.
have to return it, I think.
Okay.
That's
Well,
how
that's
I'm,
what I-
that's how I'm perceiving the rule.
Unless
Yeah,
it
that
goes
you
like
have-
out of the back of the end
Yeah.
zone, but it lands in the 20.
Mm-hmm.
Or lands
It's a
on the
live
play. Yeah.
A live play.
Here you go. Any kick that hits in the landing zone, then goes into end zone, must be returned or downed by the receiving team. If downed, then touch back,
Is that
the ball
30?
goes to the 20.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
if it bounces in there. So
If it
by
bounces
saying
in-
they have to return it, that means if you return, you can grab it, kneel it, but you're getting the ball there unless it goes to the end zone.
You're only getting it.
But
think
if you receive, I
if
think
you-
I saw the rule. If you actually catch it into the end
Yeah,
zone,
yeah. If it doesn't land into
if it doesn't
the,
land in the zone, if you catch it in the end zone, you return it.
or I think
or
if you catch
kneel
it in the zone, as long as it doesn't bounce.
Okay,
gonna
a
say.
kick that hits in the end zone stays in bounds, returned or downed. If downed, then touch back to the 30.
Okay, that's what you were saying. Yeah.
And any kick that goes out of bounds of the end zone, in the air or bounds, is a touchback to the 30. And then obviously the onside kick begins in the fourth quarter.
So now our
Team trailing has
touchbacks-
the opportunity to declare an onside kick to the officials.
which that makes sense. We heard that early on. We thought that was weird to declare it. The way they're lined up, they would have to
They
go
would have
back
to
to
declare
a
it.
different line. Yeah, they would have to line up.
If an onside kick goes beyond the setup zone untouched, kicking team penalized. Return team would start the drive at the 20-yard line. This says a 20-yard line. I don't
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
got to mean at the. It's
football,
got to
so
mean the
I
fall
don't-
20-yard.
yeah.
It's got to mean the far back 20-yard line.
It doesn't look like there's any penalties changes. It has a safety kick in the rule book, but I don't. Kick will be from the 20-yard line. The kicker has the option to use a tee. Setup zone and landing zone don't change.
You know what I think? I'll say a benefit, just a change that I think is going to come across is you're going to have a lot of when you have breakaway kickoff returns, a lot less clipping penalties or push from behind. Just because when everybody's spread out and you're running downfield, I think that comes across more because you see that a whole lot when guys get breakaways. There's a flag. Oh, it's a clipping penalty. Probably holding's going to stay the same, maybe a little more because you're so close to each other. It's almost like you're at the line of scrimmage. So if a guy cuts back and you're holding the guy, I don't know.
You
if-
might be able to contain that a little more. You might be able to hide the
hold
hold a little more like they do on the line.
I think you'll have more one-on-ones with return men and kickers.
Yeah, exactly. Because the
this
kicker
could
is going
make
to
it
stay back
exciting.
there. Yeah, the kicker's
Yeah.
going to stay back there and just be like, okay, I'm going to
So
sit
I
back here and
think-
wait for the guy.
I think for sure, I want to watch the Chiefs their first week do it because I heard that they're not using whatever his name that they have as their kicker. They're using a safety that they have that kicked whenever their kicker got hurt last year. So he's going to be their kickoff man now. So per the new rules, they'll have one extra defender that can make a tackle because they're having I think he's a strong safety or a free safety as their kicker.
I mean, that's an interesting take and a look at because you're not necessarily just wanting to kick in a touchback now. Like, you don't need the big leg just to put it out of the back of the
you
end
just
zone.
have to put it to the 20.
Yeah, I mean, coming to the 30, that's a big deal now. That you're giving them an opportunity up. I mean, I think now, assuming, I guess the problem would be is if he doesn't get it into the kick zone, now they're at the 40.
Yeah. I think this is what the Cowboys should do. The two returners should be Deuce Vaughn and Devontae Turpin. Like, you have those little guys up there. That's who's going to get through. Now, to your point, it's going to be a lot of one-on-one with kicker returner. Most kickers might be bigger than Vaughn and Turpin.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think most kickers
They're
are
not
able
as
to flip
fast.
their hips, though.
Exactly. They're not as. Now, if I'm a kicker, I'm kicking and I'm just standing. I'm waiting in case you get past me. You at least have some time to react. But that would be the deal is the kickers aren't near as fast as some of those guys. But at the same time, you're obviously whoever doesn't return the ball, he's now a blocker for you. So
I think most kickers probably will do what you were saying, just sit back. I think most of it's they're not trying to make a tackle. They're
they're
trying
the
to
last
stall
line of
to try to
defense. Like, as
get
if you
some
get
evidence
if
up
they
there.
get past that wall, it's
Yeah,
a
it's a
touchdown and you're
one-on-one
stopping
with the
them.
kicker.
Yeah. I think this is going to make special team coordinators more valuable. Slightly. I'm not going to say they're like the guys now. But beside, like, what do they do? Like fancy kickoffs, which you can still do now. Now more room with returns. I think returning teams before this were pretty set. Like, I know there's more rules where people can stand, but I think that gives you more room because of all the, if it lands in the return zone or end zone or whatever, because you're essentially saying a kickoff can end in 4 different ways or 4 different ball placements. You're talking about 20, 25, 30, and 40. So there's so many different, before it was like, it's either 40, it's out of bounds, or 25, or a touchdown, I guess. So 5 different ways technically, but, you have to weigh those pros and cons. It's not just a throwaway play anymore. It's not, I mean, it could be just like, hey, just kick it out of the end zone. They'll get it out. Was it the 30 if they kick it out of the end zone? I think it's more incentive to do. I don't necessarily like it that much because of what it does to onside kick rules. Because I know these rules have probably been out a while, but nobody really understood them until we saw them. So when they came out, the onside rules, like you have to alert the other team you're doing onside. It was like, why? But now it makes sense because you have to completely line up different. And I don't like that you can't. I mean, I know it's very little stuff. Very rarely do they even do onside kicks before the 4th quarter anyways, but now you can't. I always like the surprise at a halftime or even the beginning of the game. And then you can't do onside kicks if you're winning, which I guess that's really not going to come into play. But still, if you think you have the advantage, but you can't sneak them anymore anyway. So, so what was it, like 1 point something percent of onside kicks were successful? Now it's going to go even lower, or they're going to try it less often. But I think if you're not like no more timeouts, you're inside the 2-minute warning, you're losing, you have to kick off where you have to do an onside kick. I think if you're down by a couple scores midway through the 4th quarter, I think you can experiment with ways to try to, I don't know, with more of the defenders closer in. If you could, like, was it just like lob kick it or boot kick it, you'd have to get it to land in the 20s and get your guys down there to get the ball before the returners. But I think there might be a better opportunity to try to do that if you can kind of go within the rules. Now, I think there's going to be rule changes because guys are going to figure out exceptions to the rules and, hey, we're going to do this. And the NFL's like, oh, no, that you can't do that, and change the rules. But when have we ever spent this much talking about kickoff or special teams on our podcast?
How likely are we to see this trickle down if the NFL, if it stands with the NFL, for this to trickle down into college and the high school level?
I think if it is something that, so I don't know if this is much of a safety thing though. I think that's what we were initially thinking. I think this is for them to get.
I think so too.
They're just trying to make it a more exciting play.
I agree with you.
They went towards the safety aspect by incentivizing touchbacks to the 25 because they wanted more touchbacks and less hurt. Now, it does make it more safe that they're putting them closer together, but I think this is how we can make it more exciting. We want less touchbacks, but we still want to keep it safe. But yeah, that's the overall goal is hey, nobody's watching these.
Yeah, I think when they initially changed the touchback rule from the 20 to the 25, which I don't remember. I think it's always been the 25.
For me, it's always been the 20, and maybe it may have been like 15 years. I don't know how long it's been. It feels like just the last couple of years, but it's for most of my life. Sometimes I still say the 20-yard line.
Yeah, but
so is that in high school the same though? Is a touchback?
I couldn't tell. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I want to say college is 25. Now, we say like the play is so different. You almost. I want to say you almost have to.
In high school though.
That's true. You don't have strong kickers. Usually, kickers aren't specialized like they are. It's just kind of like whoever can kick the ball, you're the kicker. We haven't seen the extra point rule transfer, but that play's not very different. You're just moving back. Like the only person that really matters is the kicker. Like the guys doing special teams, sure, they have to learn a couple new rules. Now this, if it takes a couple of years and they keep it, they might implement it down the line, because then you're talking about rookies coming to the NFL, where that's usually who plays special teams. It's the guys who just can't. They're kind of like fourth string, third string something. They have value, but to get them on the field, you put them on special teams. That's a lot of those last guys on the roster.
Yeah.
Are on special teams, and a lot of rookies where you draft them and like, hey, this might be future number 3 receiver or something. A lot of your receivers are going to be on the return team. I don't know on the kicking team how many more. Those are more like tight ends and stuff, but they're going to have to go and have to learn all these new rules, which I guess every player in the NFL is learning these new rules as you go too. So I think it's more likely that this eventually gets implemented down because there's a lot more things happening. And I wasn't a big fan of it. I still not really am, but I think there's some potential for the excitement factor. We're going to see a lot of crazy stuff. And like I say, it's a great topic because we're talking about it. I thought we might talk about it for a couple of minutes and be like, okay, let's move on. But we all had a lot of really good points that if this goes to college, man, you're going to see a lot of crazy stuff because they're more likely to, those coaches are more likely to try to get stuff by like, hey, let's bend the rules as much as we can. And then you have some crazy kids, a walk-on kid, like, hey, you're really fast. You suck at everything else, but hey, you're going to go do something here. I'm interested to see what kind of reverse plays, pass play. Like you have those two guys at the back. If you don't have the guy you want returning the ball, you're going to have a couple of plays where they run up to, I don't know, once you get outside that return zone, if anything changes, I'm still sure you can lateral and everything, where they run up a little bit, get everyone to try to get one side of the field and throw it back the other way. Man, me not being a coach, I can't even imagine some of the plays they might try to run.
Oh, especially in college.
Yeah, especially college. I think high school might be kind of interesting too, but I'm saying we're probably talking a decade before something like that.
Yeah.
You're talking about NFL. Next year they'll tweak the rules, and maybe 3 or 4 years in, then they start talking about college. But because like the extra point rule, again, it's not necessary, I guess. You're talking about the kickers, like, hey, if you get to the NFL, you'll be fine backing up 10 yards. You're an NFL kicker, but like I don't think the long extra point will ever go to high school just because we're talking kick. Only so many schools have a good enough kicker. Sticking with the NFL, a lot of injuries in training camp. We'll talk Sam Williams here in a minute. I know his was on grass. He tore his ACL. DeAndre Hopkins suffered a knee strain. I don't know. I think most training camps are probably on grass fields. I don't know anything about the Titans.
I think so.
I want to say they all are.
Okay, yeah, I assume they are because I know a lot of people. Some people are messaging back and forth in a group text and like saying, "Was this on turf? Is this going to be?" Like, I looked at the picture and I'm like, "That's got to be grass." You could see like brown spots and everything, and I thought if it was on turf, talking about the Sam Williams injury in particular, if it was on turf, I think that would be like a bigger story.
Yeah.
Like here, this happened, and I didn't see the injury. I don't know if there's video of the injury anywhere. If it was like a non-contact ACL injury, which that's always worse and more concerning. But DeAndre Hopkins did suffer a knee strain. He's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. 32 years old. I think we can say he's kind of on the downtick of his career. He's had a lot of injuries.
He had a lot of injuries last year. He also had Jimmy Garoppolo as his quarterback. So I don't know if y'all watch Receivers on Netflix. I don't know if y'all have watched that yet. It's quarterback, but they just follow the receivers around.
Yeah.
And they had him or not DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams. Sorry.
Devontae Adams, yeah.
They had him on receivers, and you definitely see an insight to it. Like, I don't know how he didn't have more injuries because he took a lot of hits.
That and I think you're talking about Odell Beckham. Most running backs and receivers, when Sam Williams isn't like blazing speed, stuff's gonna happen. They're in a lot more contact injuries, but when you push your body so far to get as fast as you can and strong as you can, and then you stop on a dime and turn, especially on turf, like we know the deals with it doesn't give. You need your foot to give a little bit so it's not putting all the pressure on your ACL and other ligaments. I'm no expert, but that's when if you don't tune your body the right way, because you need to strengthen strengthen your hamstrings and just be very flexible and stretch and strengthen the right parts of your body, because that's when you're like, hey, I'm just going to get fast, I'm just going to get strong, and you ignore those other parts. They're not capable of doing what you're trying to do.
We've seen this in baseball as well. As guys get stronger, I mean, Tommy John that's
at an all-time high right now,
and it's just normal. It's kind of just part of the game. It's like an ACL in football. It's just normal. We just see it all.
They're more likely,
the time.
I think, more likely to. Where normally it's like this is a last resort because your career's probably over. Where now it's like you do Tommy John, you're going to miss 18 months to 2 years, but you might be coming back throwing stronger.
I think you're right, though, that it's the way these guys are training their bodies. And you can only think, I mean, you can get so strong. There's only so much you can do for your ligaments.
Well,
and
I think the problem is that you have world-class athletes playing on a high school field. Like, you can't have people playing on. I mean, they have Odell Beckham Jr. playing on a high school baseball field, essentially, playing on an artificial surface with concrete under it.
Yeah, and you
never get a good situation.
Yeah, and I mean, back to Tommy John, Landen, you know more than anything, playing on select teams and travel teams in high school, that it's not necessarily working your arm too much, because you see Nolan Ryan through 200 pitches. He'd do a complete game, 14 innings. And that was a normal. Now, if you see a complete game, you're like, holy crap, that's kind of rare now, where maybe back in the day, if you're a good pitcher in the major leagues, half of your starts are probably in it. Like, even if you don't have a great game, you'll still give up some. But maybe it's wearing out your arm too young. I don't know if it's you're still developing. You're not, I don't know that Nolan Ryan would throw 200 pitches in high school.
No, and a lot of it is, like, Nolan Ryan probably didn't throw 100 in high school. There was a kid that graduated 2 or 3 years ago. He actually just got drafted out of Mississippi State. He throws 97 with both arms. He threw 95 with both arms as a senior in high school.
And don't tell me they started him one day on the right and started him the other day on the left.
I do believe that he pitched twice in a series for Mississippi State.
I mean, per your arm, I guess that's okay, but you use so much more of your body. Like, it's exhausting to pitch.
Well, I don't think it was back-to-back. I think he pitched 2 of their home games and then went to a road game.
Yeah, and like even relievers, like if you're thinking, okay, 100 pitches, if you go throw 50 pitches one day in relief or something, and then you come the next day, you should think, oh, they can throw 50 pitches, but that's not really how it works. You can't.
After you throw your first day.
Yeah, after once you. That's why the same reason if you have a long half inning and your pitcher's sitting for so long, like that can, because once your body, I guess, says, okay, now we're recovering, your arm kind of doles out, does whatever. Again, I'm no expert. You're more of an expert in this subject than I am, but I think it's a mix of both. Is we're just pushing kids too far. Like we have some of the best athletes in history. If you're talking about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, I think LeBron James is a better athlete than Michael Jordan could ever hope to be, because of the era they grew up in. I still think Michael Jordan's a better basketball player. I mean, it's just different. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a stupid argument. The 2 best players to ever play. If Michael Jordan would have grown up in this era, it'd have been different. But because you have so much travel ball, select leagues, basketball the same as well, football, you have it's not very difficult for you specifically, not being a son of a major league player, or, no offense, Tony, being somebody who's rich or a billionaire or whatever, they can give you whatever training. It's not that odd for you to get world-class training.
Yeah, it's
one-on-one.
At every level.
At every level. It's very easy for you to get to an extent. So most guys, even some guys who have no chance, whose parents are just delusional and see their kid, oh yeah, my kid can. Even those kids are getting world-class training. So you're taking bad kids and making them better, average kids making them look a lot better, above average looking superstar and superstar looking world-class. Which isn't a bad thing, but you're pushing kids' bodies, and I guess as they're developing, I guess that may be the issue, pushing them too much, or by the time they get into college or the major leagues or at any level, any sport, that you think you can just do whatever. Because, kids that are 20 to 25, probably even older, especially been in athletics their entire lives, just think they're invincible. Just trust their body until it starts breaking down, until it works until it doesn't. And I think it's a mix between that and then obviously like we remember in our lifetimes, Tony, where ACL injuries is like your career's over. Running back tears his ACL, like he may never play again.
Yeah, now they're on. I mean, it's less than a year recovery. I think now.
I know Nick Chubb is still on the IR, but he was talking about like 7 months after just shattering his knee. He's squatting more than he's ever have and ever. Like it hurt my knee to watch that.
You think of the advancements that we have in training, but the advancements that we've had in the medical side of it is probably just as much of an advancement, maybe more. When you think of Bryce Harper when he tore his labrum.
Yeah.
I mean, you see him in the outfield, he throws, he bends down immediately, he's grabbing his shoulder, or his elbow, I apologize, his elbow, and you know, he tore something in his arm, which as a position player is not normal.
Yeah.
Position players rarely
Not
ever
throwing
tear.
it.
Yeah, because you're not.
As long as you're doing pregame warm-ups and your arm is warm to
could
go
probably
out of
go-
nowhere and throw, but
Yeah.
you're not putting that wear and tear in your arm like a
I mean,
pitcher.
There was probably games this summer that I threw the ball once, maybe twice. Like, like you go play in the outfield the entire game, not.
But it's just like
the ball
hamstrings
once.
in baseball, because baseball is a sport you're not constantly running.
Yeah, really
You're going
not
from
stop,
0
start.
to full speed in baseball because you're really not jogging much. It's if you're running, you're running, and you can get more hamstring injuries. But baseball is one of those where the pregame warm up is unlike any other. Like you have to make sure you're warm because you may throw the ball one time, but that one time you're gunning it to first base or gunning it home or whatever, and you have to make sure you're warm.
We also don't have the start stop like a football would have. Like most of football's stops, they have
Or
to,
just as hard on your body as the start.
Their stop is they're using.
It's more of a rigorous grind in football, but I think baseball, those little nagging injuries are higher because you play just about every day.
Yeah.
But it's like I've played baseball games, and I'm not good at baseball or anything, but you're in the right position on the right game where you're not just getting hit. You may just go out in the field and stand. You may not throw the ball once, except that one time the ball reaches the outfield and you got to go all the way, or reaches the fence. You grab it and you're throwing it as hard as you can to your cutoff man. That's the one time you throw it, and if you're not careful or not paying attention, that's how you get hamstrings. I think in baseball those injuries are a little more than those nagging injuries.
You get kind of the small muscle pulls.
Those can be more dangerous sometimes when you're in that situation
Yeah.
than if you're just throwing 100 pitches a game.
Yeah, I mean you know it the best with football, having to stop and start. Like
It's that, but it's
that's
more
not good
contact
on
with
your
football. No,
knees
it's
and
not.
your
And then
We've seen a lot of those ACL injuries. Probably more than not are the planting and stopping, changing
and a lot of
direction.
them, it isn't necessarily right then. That's what caused it. It's you've been wearing it down the whole game. Maybe you've gotten hit a couple of times because if you're exhausted, because you know the right way to plant, the right way to do this, but you've been hit a few times. You're exhausted late in the game. You're kind of running through the motions.
Yeah.
And you don't do it the right way, and your ACL may be already kind of compromised a little bit, and then you plant that one time, especially when you're a superhuman athlete and you're training faster, and your ligaments just can't keep up with that.
Yeah. You have an Odell Beckham. I wouldn't really say Nick Chubb because his wasn't non-contact at all.
No, it wasn't. But my
got
point
blown
is,
up.
is his knee was blown up. They reconstructed it in like 6 or 7 months later. He's squatting, got more than more than he's ever squatted before. That's the advancement in technology is or medical technology is what I was.
I mean, who knows what they put in his knee? I mean, they could.
Was it? I can't remember. It wasn't NFL Blitz, but it was one of those games where the dude breaks his leg. You have the chance to give him a steroid shot, and he's fixed. Which was unrealistic or whatever, but it's like his injury risk is higher. I remember the video game.
I think it was NFL Blitz.
Yeah, it was like the newer version of an upgraded version of Blitz. But I think that's where we're going, where they tear their ACL. They're like, okay, we can do this. Next week you can be back on the field. Somehow, I don't know, like just go in there and give them like rubber bands for something. I don't know.
That's what they've been starting. I don't know about ACL, but I know with UCL tears and Tommy John tears, possibly labrum tears too for baseball, that they're not, because normally they were taking like a ligament out of your knee and putting it in your elbow. So they aren't doing that now. They're making it like a
synthetic.
Yeah, they're like making.
Like when you get your hip replaced, they put like a titanium hip, so they're
Yeah.
getting you some material. Really, I didn't know that.
They're making. I don't know the material, but they're making I guess it'd be the ligament, the UCL ligament.
I mean that makes sense if you can find a durable material, but at the
know
same
if it was,
time,
like,
if
rubber
you
or
use your
something.
ligament, I would think it heals. It does all this kind of stuff on its own. It's like if you use a foreign object, it may. I mean, it's not going to do any. I guess unless they grow it somewhere. I mean, they might be growing it.
I think-
in its actual living matter, but
I think they only use that for full tears, because I mean, like partial tears, if it's minor enough, it just heals itself after like.
yeah. Well, like if
months
I
of
go out
rest.
and tear my ACL, I'm probably not getting surgery. Right? Like maybe, unless it's like really bad, but normally, like, hey, you're not an athlete, we're just going to let it heal. If you're an athlete, they're going to repair it. It'll probably heal faster, but it's got to heal properly or you're done.
Yeah.
Me, like if I go out, like as I could tear my ACL walking into the house, probably if I stepped the wrong way, I feel like that. Or if it's just like a minor tear, that may be like, just get on crutches for a little while. You might be fine. I think, right? Like,
I mean-
you're more likely to get surgery on something minor as an athlete
Yeah.
than just a Joe Blow, because I'm not trying to get back and I'm just like, hey, I'm not going to walk this way anymore, or I'm not going to walk fast like this.
I mean, they're quick to put everybody in surgery now. It seems, especially with pro athletes, you see guys getting surgery all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, Otani tore his, or when did they place him on? When did they say he was injured truly? With the Angels?
It was last.
It was I think it was after the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Because if he was injured before, I'd be like, okay, I get it. If you can't get what you want for him if he was injured, but I think it was sometime after the trade deadline. He might have been injured before that. They just didn't say
So
anything.
we're after the trade deadline now.
We're about a year out. Probably roughly a year since he.
So I think a week ago or so, he was seen throwing before the game at 90 feet, I think, 180 feet.
Otani's a different animal, though.
He was throwing. They said that he might be, like, they don't know when he'll be back, but they said that he'll probably be on rehab starts in the minor leagues close to the end of the year, maybe early next year.
That's going to be weird, though. So that makes sense. Like, throw them in the minor leagues because they're pitcher. We don't have any use for them. But Otani, it's like, well, how do you do that? Because you need him in your lineup.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't-
I
don't
guess
know
you could do
how-
simulated games and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
still
they
him.
could do that instead of putting him on rehab starts in the minor league, because I didn't think about that yet. I think it's like 10 days. Once you reassign them, they have to be there for 10 days.
I mean,
you're
yeah,
losing
that's
him for
true.
10
Yeah.
days.
And they don't have minor leagues in before major league season, and so it's not like, I mean, there's leagues they can put them in. It's just not the same level. But that's interesting. That's a different topic for a different show. That's crazy. That like he might be like your opening day starter next year for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Back to Hopkins after his knee strain. He's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks, like I said. That makes him questionable for to play in Week 1, the regular season in Chicago. Possibly looking at him coming back in Week 2, the Titans' home opener, versus the Jets. Sam Williams obviously tore his ACL this past week. He'll miss the entire 2024 season. Cowboys brought in a couple of defensive ends to work out. They landed on 6-year pro. Al Cawdin, Cawdin, is that how you pronounce it? Al Cawdin, I think it's Al Cawdin. Muhammad to replace Williams. Muhammad, a 6th-round pick for New Orleans in 2017. He's also played for Chicago. Spent most of his career for the Colts. And for depth, Cowboys have also signed pass rusher Shaka Toney, a former teammate of Micah Parsons at Penn State. Don't know if both guys are going to make the roster. They might just see who works out better.
Definitely a blow to that D line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point where I have no idea what this defense is going to look like. You have a new defensive coordinator. You have what's his name coming back from an ACL injury. You don't know what he's going to look like. Now you have this injury. Like, this could be a great defense. This could be a bad defense, middle of the road. Like, I don't even know what to expect this year. It's hard to be able to predict unless you're there talking with them, seeing everything every day. It's going to be hard to predict what this defense is going to be like.
Getting Diggs back is promising.
Yeah.
But he was injured all last year, so you kind of weigh your
upgraded at linebacker marginally. I don't think it's a huge upgrade, but I think you have upgraded your linebacker.
Like I said, that's a really good signing because, I mean, it's a cheap signing. It's an older guy. We'll see how it works out, but it's a good signing at a position of need. But the problem is that was your signature of acquisition and free agency.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the all-in Cowboys. But
when will Jerry realize
that he needs to retire?
He needs to retire, but that they should be looking at coaching staffs, these young guys. And that's where it's at now. That's where it's trended. These guys are proving themselves worthy that you don't go after one of these young, hot coaches, you know? Like, I even thought that when McCarthy was hired, that why aren't you taking a chance at some of these young guys? And now, in that time period, all these young coaches have proven, hey, we can turn these guys around. We can get out of players what other guys are not. We are innovative in the game now.
You're talking like maybe a step up from where because Jason Garrett was a hot young coach, but I guess he wasn't like, he hasn't proven himself at all. He obviously wasn't a head coach.
Yeah, but Jason Garrett wasn't as innovative, I think, as
I mean, he
guys.
was.
I mean, you're talking about guys that didn't play college ball. They played, at most of high school. Their life has been dedicated to coaching and the game.
You're talking difference between like analytics and X's and O's. You're more analytical.
And that's where the game's at. I mean, even we've been talking baseball a lot. I don't want to get off topic there, but I mean, even that game is all analytical now. Everything is it's all about the numbers. These guys are proving that that's a way. I mean, it's a money ball situation.
Yeah.
That we're going to follow the numbers no matter what they say. We're going to make that,
And you see the young guys having success so early. Sean McVay is one of those, Mike McDaniels. I think in your mind you might think, well, if you get a young coach, you're kind of not starting over, but kind of in a rebuilding mode. Where now it's like, hey, just plug your coach in and revamp.
I don't think it's been that way. I mean, look how quick the Dolphins have turned theirs around.
If you want to, like you were saying, an older coach is going straight off of I have my 3 starting cornerbacks. I have my starting linebackers. If you're going to run a 3-4, I have my 3 linebackers, or a 4-3. I have my linebackers, I have my D-line, I have my safeties, I have my corners. That's who's going to be on the field for me. But then you look at guys in Miami, Mike Shanahan in San Francisco. It's analytics and it's film. Mm-hmm. It's a matchup game.
Even look like Andy Reid, who's an old school coach, but he's implementing a lot of that stuff because you see the Chiefs offense succeeding doing stuff like this because Andy Reid's able. And I know Mike McCarthy said he went his year off and studied and was more analytical. And then he tells you, oh, well, I had to say whatever I had to do to get the job or whatever. And, not that he hasn't been a successful coach regular season wise. I mean, you can say like 12-5, 3 straight seasons, probably another winning season if Dak doesn't get hurt year 1. But it's just not working.
Yeah, I think right now a lot of this is because I watched Receivers on Netflix. I think my favorite coach in the NFL right now is Dan Campbell. Mm-hmm. Just watching the behind the scenes, he's a guy who kind of an older coach, but he's so analytical about everything. That's why they went for it on 4th down every time.
He's one that, like, because he's an old school guy, a player, that he has that motivating factor. Yeah. That's like number one motivator I can think of.
Playing for him, they want to play for him. I think that's a big thing too, is having a coach that you want to play for.
Yeah,
having a team you want to play for.
And I'm sure all the Cowboys will say they love Mike McCarthy. They want to play for him. Like if you like them, but I mean, like, I'm gonna go out there and lay it on the line.
That's part of the problem with Jerry, though, is Jerry would not have pulled in a guy like Dan Campbell because a lot of these coaches don't want to put up with what Jerry Jones brings.
The same with Sean Payton, why you couldn't get shit. Like, it's always been, which I think Sean Payton's a little overrated, but I think the type of coach he could have been with the Cowboys is kind of maybe what they like bringing in Parcells. Parcells turned that team. It was a dreadful team, just complete crap. And not that he had a ton of success here, but he took him to the playoffs with Quincy Carter.
Yeah.
No offense, Quincy Carter, but he took him to the playoffs with Quincy Carter, and then got Romo in there. Although he wanted to put Chad Hutchinson, like Romo wasn't high on that list, but he was able to discover Romo, I guess, or put Romo in the right situation for, he put him on the right track where I think Cowboy, was the Cowboys coach before Garrett? I can't.
Wade Phillips.
Wade Phillips, who's a pretty good coach. I mean, he's obviously a good coach. He's still coaching the UFL now, but he got credit for a lot of that, where I think that was Bill Parcells' team he kind of put together, because he was the one that got Jason Witten and Romo. And I think like McCarthy, he put them back on track. Now it was like every other year they were going to the playoffs, not going to the playoffs. He had them 3 straight 12-win seasons, 3 playoff appearances, even though they're not getting success in the playoffs. I think he's put them on the right track, but they need something different. And I think that would, why wouldn't you try that? Just that's what's different, because it's not necessarily Dak. Like, you can blame Dak, but like we talked about before, same results whether you have Romo or Dak. Same results whether you have Garrett or McCarthy.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to change something. You need to try something. And you can say Garrett and McCarthy are completely different coaches. But I think, going for that young analytical coach, like, what's the worst? You have the talent. I think you just need the right coach in here to do it. But to your point, Jerry Jones isn't going to get that.
As we're seeing with these contracts coming up, you have a small window to win with this team.
Yeah.
This team will look drastically different next season.
You're not going to, I mean, not that Dak's not going to be on the roster next year, but it's going to be difficult to luck out and get another franchise caliber quarterback, undrafted or 4th round pick. Like,
I don't think that we can win with Dak.
Yeah.
I don't think this team will.
Think so.
But what I'm afraid of, and maybe this is what should happen, maybe this is what Jerry needs to see, is Dak going somewhere else and being successful. Look what you screwed up.
Let him walk, trade him.
Whatever.
I think we have to keep CD and Micah Parsons, and they both want to reset the market at their
Yeah, I think Jerry understands that, though, because I don't know how desperate it was. We didn't see it. It was behind the scenes, but you're good. Just leave it. That he did not want Romo going to Houston. Like, that's where Romo was wanting to be traded to, and he just ended up retiring. I think part of it is because he wanted Jason Garrett to be his Tom Landry.
Yeah.
Where he had Romo only played for the Cowboys. He was a Cowboys starting quarterback. That's what he's going to be known for. I'm sure there's an element to that. But if Romo went to Houston, who had a decent team, they just didn't have a quarterback back then, that it was going to look bad upon the Cowboys, because Romo could have succeeded with them as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of football coming up, Peak One is partnering with League Swipe to get you ready for the ultimate fantasy football experience. Join us for an unforgettable draft experience later this month. This is your chance to draft with the best. Don't miss out. Click on the link in the description box to sign up. All right, let's talk Olympics real quick. We have, as of pre-show, what the gold medal count or the medal count is. I don't know. Obviously, the Olympics are happening right now, but as of now, China leads in the gold medal count with 13 gold medals, and U.S. down at number 5 with 9. But the United States is just blowing every team away in total medal counts. They have 44, and I see France is the next one with 37.
Yeah.
And then China with 31, then everyone's in the 20s and even lower.
Yeah, I mean, the silver and bronze, we're absolutely killing it. And watching a lot of these events, I've seen a lot in the past couple days, the swimming events. And our athletes are just coming up so short of gold. But I think this weekend they call it Gold Rush Weekend or something. That
Yeah, what were you saying, Ashton? It's 50.
There's 51.
51
I think
gold
51
medals up for optioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this weekend's going to be a big weekend. I think you're gonna see some big swings here when you're talking about 51 gold medals. I mean, this list is going to change.
Yeah, I mean, it takes. mean, it takes one country having not even a good day, a good week.
Yeah, and there are a lot. The U.S. is definitely up for a lot. I don't know how much, how many events China's
I mean,
involved in.
So what is there? Sand volleyball, the gold medal's up for this week.
There's still some individual
Yeah.
gymnastics. Simone Biles still has an opportunity for another gold.
She'll get her gold.
You've got basketball.
Basketball.
I mean, there's rugby.
Is basketball
There's
up this week for a gold medal, or is that?
I don't know if it's this
But
weekend.
I know basketball is always a.
Yeah. There's so many events. I mean, I keep coming across events that I'm
Well,
like,
yeah.
I didn't even know that was
There's
an
still
Olympic
some track
event.
events.
Yeah,
and swing
we have
swimming
track and
events.
field. Kenny Bednarek and Fred Curley, USA, recorded the fastest time in round one of the men's 100 meters. So I'm sure that
Did you guys see
medals are going to be out for that as well.
Yesterday I watched it was the 4x400 mixed.
Yes.
That is an interesting,
Swimming.
track. 4x400
4x4
mixed. So you had two males and two females
Oh yeah.
relay. And USA blew. I mean, they blew them out of the water.
I believe that's an event at every level. I think college has that, and I think high schools have that now.
That's a cool event. That's
Yeah.
cool to see in the way they strategically place each athlete, with
I think a lot of times they go guy girl,
Yeah.
or they go girl guy girl.
so they US yesterday that event I believe might be up for gold or up for medal this
Medal
weekend. But yesterday in the heat race, the US set a world record in that
Yeah.
event.
We might see a couple of world records in track. Noah Lyles is someone you need to keep your eyes on. He plays for Team USA,
World
and
champion of what?
he has claim to the title right now as fastest man in the world. He swept the both 100 and 200 meters at the 2023 World Athletics Championship in Budapest. He's 26. He's won 2 world titles. He did win the bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021, and I believe he hasn't started any of his events yet.
I think he's a front runner for most sprinting events with
Yeah.
the U.S.
He has he's favored to medal in at least 3 events, maybe more. So he's looking to win a couple of gold medals, and being right now the fastest man in the world. He's being compared to Usain Bolt a lot. I think he topped out at 22 miles an hour in one of his events.
So towards the end of Usain Bolt's career, Noah Lyles was kind of coming up in the Olympics, and that's kind of who sent Usain Bolt off was because he started. I mean,
Yeah, he's
the
26.
only
He's
person
not
that can keep up with
young.
Bolt.
but I think that he's like in the prime of his career. Like next
Yeah.
Olympics he'll be 30. So I think this is the year that he's supposed. I mean, obviously won bronze. We'll at least get a few medals out of him, but maybe a couple of gold medals.
He's a big centerpiece for the U.S. to put on some gold medals this weekend.
And then I don't know how many more events Katie Ledecky's involved in, but y'all seen some of
She'll
hers.
win gold.
Dude, there's one. I know we shared it on our Facebook page this past week. It was we couldn't get a shot. Like the camera tried to zoom out as she finished the race to try to
Yeah.
get the other swimmers in,
And there was
and
no
they
other.
couldn't because it zoomed out. They went to a different camera and still couldn't, and they just zoomed back in.
Absolutely insane.
She had won by so much in that event. I think beating a world record as well.
So
But she is the most decorated female Olympic athlete in history, or U.S. athlete at least, maybe total. Swimming, there's a caveat there because swimming, there's so many events. But still, I mean, track. I know track. You don't compete in as many events typically, and if you're competing in basketball or something like that, you only have. And just a side note, 3x3 or 3-on-3 basketball. Is it?
why is
Yes.
that an Olympics?
Why do
sport?
we not have like NBA players playing in that? Like even guys that didn't make the Olympic, like put Kyrie Irving in there, like because Jimmer Fredette, remember Jimmer Fredette? He's BYU back in the day. Because I want to say I don't know how they're doing now. I know they lost their first game.
They're out already.
They're out already. See, How do you not? Okay, you have your 10 Olympic, or how many ever 12 on your Olympic team. Number 13, 14, and 15. There might be 4 on the roster, but of your NBA who didn't make it, put them on your team.
Well, it's a weird rule.
You're telling me Kyrie Irving isn't a better 3-on-3 player than any of these play? I mean, Kyrie Irving, Uncle Drew, hello. He's used to, like,
I mean,
I don't care how old
I
he is.
saw a TikTok video. It's weird rules. So if you make it, you have 12 seconds from the time that it goes through the
Yeah, I didn't see
through the
it.
hoop to score again.
It's like make it take it for a limited time or something.
No, it's so like if we're playing against Germany and they make a 3-pointer, we get it out of the rim, pass it out. You have to take it back behind the 3-point line like a normal pickup game, and then but the entire time after you get the rebound, the clock's going. So you have 10 seconds to get the rebound. Once you get the rebound, they can steal the ball. So you have 12 seconds to get the rebound, get it out, and score. So it's a lot of 3-pointers. Which why is Michael Porter Jr. not playing?
I mean, honestly, if you have all these other Olympians playing in multiple events, why can't you grab just 3 guys from the Olympic basketball team just to compete back? I mean, I'm just saying.
Give me Kevin Durant, Steph Curry.
I don't care if the rules are completely different. It's basketball. Yeah. I think these guys can play. I think these guys. I mean, I know a lot of other countries don't necessarily use professional athletes. They use a lot of college athletes for a lot of events.
Give me Allen Iverson on this team.
Yeah, no joke. I tell you, throw Allen Iverson in there. Could he not? Like I would say Dirk, but he just let himself go. Like he looks fine or whatever, but he just doesn't train anymore or anything like that. Of course, it would be Germany's team, but I just think you could take a lot of old retired players, and they got it. They'd have to be better than what we have. I don't know if we're just trying to like, hey, we don't want to just put all of our professional athletes out there or whatever, but really.
Did you guys see the French swimmer, Leon Markkinen?
Markkinen, yeah. Men's 4x100 medley relay team. That was the fastest qualifying time.
He has not won a gold medal until this summer games, and he's won 4 and has a chance at a 5th in the team relay on Sunday.
Maybe that's what we'll see with Noah Lyles. We're talking some people just out of nowhere.
They just come. Now this is a cool one. The first gold medal he won this summer, you could see him crying on the podium, and he was asked about that, and he said that he was crying because that was the first time he had ever heard the French national anthem played at the Olympics.
That's crazy. You think France is like one of those, one of the dominating countries.
And he actually, funny enough, lives in the U.S., spends most of his year in the U.S.
Trains a lot in the U.S.
He
with,
trains
Michael Phelps.
Yeah. He actually, until recently, had competed the college level for Arizona State.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's weird. Like, you think of, no offense to anybody, but you think like a third world African country, the first time they hear that France? I mean, not that it's never been played. That's the first time he has and that's great. That's a great storyline because it's the hosting nation. Mm-hmm. I mean,
being a home crowd, and you can hear this crowd every time this kid swims.
Yeah.
This is a kid. I think he's on pace for things like what Michael Phelps was doing. This will be the great next sensation in swimming that we want to keep an eye on for years to come.
Just think, here in 4 years, we have the Los Angeles Olympics, and then 2 years later, the Salt Lake City Olympics.
For the Winter
so
Olympics.
A lot of Olympics coming up.
Yeah.
Where are the next Winter Olympics here in 2 years? Do we know?
I don't know where they're at.
It's weird that it's in Paris because it's just gotten in a stale. Again, no offense to it, but we begin a lot of Olympics in cities we're not really familiar with, like Sochi.
I think it's in the French Alps.
It's in France again?
I think so.
The Winter Olympics?
Or it's in some Alps. I don't know.
Okay. I know Winter Olympics, I get they're going to be in lesser known countries because you have to have cold. Or lesser known cities.
Yeah.
I guess.
Because they have to have the snow.
Well, Tony looks that up. We're going to talk more about Snoop Dogg. He's living his best life out there in the Olympics, out in Paris. He was at an equestrian event. And he was hanging out with the dressage team. And yes, I had to look that up. That's like the horse training team. If you're an equestrian person, I didn't butcher that, but if I didn't get that quite right, I apologize. Snoop Dogg's out there wearing, I don't know if it's called a helmet or whatever the headdressing is called. He's wearing a helmet. He was wearing the suit coat, the khakis, and everything. Like, Snoop Dogg's out there living his best life at the Olympics. He's out there every event. Like, you see some of these people do opening ceremonies or they're at something. Yeah, we're gonna do it, and he's out. He's been there for the entire, and Paris is a great city, so I mean, I'm sure he's having fun out there. But Snoop Dogg just being like the American, the what?
The LA Olympics.
The LA. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be everybody's gonna be out there. In 4 years, we'll see where peak one is. Maybe we can get someone out there to
Olympic
cover the
passes.
Olympics. I don't know. Those are harder to get than the Super Bowl, but maybe we can pay for someone just to be out there to cover it.
The 2026 looks like in Milan,
Okay.
which is Italy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But you're right. The Alps they were in. That's 2030. It's the French Alps.
Okay, so we're Salt Lake City then. I thought Salt Lake City was I thought it was back to back. Maybe it's 34.
No, I think you're.
Or I guess, it'd be 34.
It's-
28 is summer, 30 winter,
It'd be
32.
32.
Well, that'd be another summer Olympics.
32 would be.
Yeah. Because right now we are.
34 is Salt Lake City.
Okay, so we'll have 6 years later. That's my bad. I thought that was. Yeah, they do it so far out.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find. And there's a lot of misleading information, so it's hard to.
Oh man, maybe I got jinxed by, or not jinxed. Maybe I
I
got.
thought Salt Lake was like they have it in Italy and then they go back. Because I thought.
So you go Milan, French Alps, then Salt Lake
Maybe
City.
I
for
was
winter.
duped by fake news.
Could be. It's
Maybe
hard on here.
I apologize if I. But I mean, they do have the Olympics. That's interesting because they just had it recent. I mean, I say recently, in the last like 16, 20 years. Last Olympic deal, not really even a topic. It's just we were talking about 3-on-3 basketball. I don't think flag football this year is. I think it's coming to be
the LA Olympics.
the LA Olympics. We have to get Patrick Mahomes. I mean, CeeDee Lamb in there, like Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
Like,
where
I
did I
know we're
see- I
talking
saw
4
a-
more years, so you need young guys now. But
No, I saw a roster.
Rashee Rice if he can stay out of jail.
It was and Tyreek Hill, C.D. Lamb, Justin Jefferson,
Jamar
Mahomes.
Chase.
Jamar Chase was one.
I'm not gonna throw shade on anybody. I know the U.S. games, the football team we mentioned, it's like high school kids.
and give me Isaiah Pacheco out of the backfield.
Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, a lot of Chiefs. I know it was high school kids, which I should say, I would say even better chance that we should win the whole damn thing with high school kids. But
Yeah.
I get it. Let's not get embarrassed on a world stage in LA. American football, there shouldn't even be. Just go ahead,
Throw
throw
Duncanville out there.
throw
Yeah.
Duncanville out there. You might
With all their recruits. What about baseball? Why is baseball not?
It is an
It
Olympic
is?
sport. It's coming, I think, to the LA Olympics.
Is it?
It's gonna
Okay,
be
so
I
are
know
we
they
gonna
do
have
the
major?
World Baseball Classic.
Are we
is
gonna?
different?
But World Baseball Classics kind of like during spring training.
And it's-
So are they going to take a break, like the WNBA did, and use pro athletes, or are they just going to go college?
So they have the.
I
World,
don't know if the U.S. college athletes could compete with
No, absolutely.
athletes on the
not.
world stage if you did that.
No, because Japan's gonna bring their
So
guys.
so
Rico's.
are we going to take a
Of course,
break?
by that
or-
point, Puerto Rico might be part of the U.S. and
That's
those
what
are our
we're-
athletes.
That's what we're hoping for.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it now. Just for that thing, Puerto Rico should go ahead and be the 51st state. That's
Yeah.
kind of where they're U.S. territory and they have their own Olympic team.
Yeah.
We should just go ahead and bring them in, give them their 2 senators, give them everything, taxation with representation,
Yeah.
take care of them, help them
have to
rebuild,
represent.
help them rebuild, and just go ahead and every single athlete on the U.S. baseball team is going to be Puerto Rican. Just going to go ahead and throw that out there.
I mean, that's
We can't-
guaranteed gold medals.
We can't let them. I mean, they could be the American Taipei. That would not be good though, 'cause that doesn't count for our medals.
Yeah.
Well.
I mean, that could be the thing. They could still keep them separate as a Olympic.
Not if they're a state, though. I don't think. I mean, could they?
Yeah,
I
'cause
mean,
it
they're
depends
they're
on
just
how
a
you do that.
territory. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends. We'll get back to baseball in just a second. Real quick question: table tennis. Seen some of these table tennis events. Do you think
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you think against an Olympian, I'm not even saying a medal, just the worst player that made the Olympics, could you score 1 point? Could you make it a 21-1 game? You're getting swept. No chance.
Have you seen Forrest Gump play
No,
back
I
in
have.
the 60s in the Olympics? On table tennis?
My wife and brother-in-law grew up playing table tennis. Not that they're great, but I typically lose 21-4. I might get like 6 or 7 points.
I mean, you have
so
the
I'm
setup
telling
in
you,
your garage to...
well, Kai, it's folded up, pushed away. But if you gave me like 6 months to train and I took it seriously, I could probably get a lot better. I don't think I could score 1 point.
I don't think you would be able to.
I mean, have you seen these
mean,
guys?
you
They
could-
play 10 feet off the...
You might be able to return
Table.
a serve.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's a
But-
better. Do you think you could return a serve? Because
Maybe.
I don't know how Olympic rules are. We always play first 5 points, one person serves, next 5 points, the next person. So I would get to serve. Well, I don't know if it's you
play
score, you
gentlemen's-
serve.
You play gentleman's serve. They don't play gentleman's serve there.
Is it where you bounce it and?
No, so gentleman's serve is where you don't like. Gentleman's serve. If me and you are playing, I'm just gonna hit it into your chest to give you something returned. I don't think they play like that in the Olympics. I think in the Olympics they can get points off of serving.
We can get points, but we do it. You hit it and it bounces on your side to serve, and then you let it bounce, and then
Yeah.
it's normal after that.
I think you might be able to return a serve, but after you return the serve, there's
I-
no way you're returning.
I don't know if
anything
it's like
else.
make it take it where if you whoever scores a point, that's who's serving. We alternate every 5 points, so I get serves. So that's how the only way I would score is if I could do some crazy serve.
Yeah,
That's
I think
the
if
only-
you get serves, maybe you get a point. But if it is,
that's when I'm like I'm not practicing to beat them. I'm practicing my serves. Like I'm gonna get them on one. But yeah, it would. I mean, if they're playing 10 feet off, but I would have to do it early because I would have to like just boop it. Because if they see that's what I'm trying to do, then they're playing close, and I would never have a chance. But that's a better question. Do you think how many return serves or return hits do you think you could get? Are they acing you every
Can I
time?
make
think-
can I make contact on it? Even if I
No.
can't score the point?
you have
just
to
not aced.
just not ace.
Yeah,
like-
I could
just put a-
make contact
Oh,
and
just put a paddle
fight
on
it
it?
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
could get
mean, put a
on
paddle
it.
and put it back, like
No, I
return
don't know
it.
if I
back
could
in
put
play.
it back into
your
play.
your first 5
Where-
is going directly past you after 5 maybe.
where they're not scoring 21 points off of 21 serves. That's what I'm saying. Where they have to hit it a second time.
I think out of 21
Any chance you get
serves-
one.
Out of 21 serves, you might return 2.
Let's say I give you 6 months training.
6 months training,
6
that's all I'm
months
doing.
training to
I think I
to
could
return a
return
serve.
a serve, yeah.
Yeah, I think I could hit the ball 1 or 2 times, but I have no control over it. Like if I hit it, it's going off to the side probably.
I mean, you sit there for 6 months on a ping pong ball pitching machine. Just
Well, as I say, just like if I could go against a major league pitcher, not like the best major league pitcher, and you gave me 6 months to train, I think I could foul off a ball. Maybe.
6 months training.
Not off one at bat. If you gave me like 100 pitches, I feel like I could foul off a ball. And I'm not talking about against.
So if you get put in a game, you get 4. Be generous. 4 at bats. Against the
In
the
a game
worst-
setting, I don't know. The
the
worst,
worst
major league pitcher. I don't know. You give me a bunch of time to train. If you're training me, Landen,
You're not touching a baseball if I'm training you.
I don't know. I feel like I could get a foul ball. It'd have to be the worst, and I'd have to have a lot of training. That's hard. I think that might be one of the hardest things to do in professional sports is hit a baseball.
And if they tipped you what pitch was coming, maybe. I think if you're trying to play the head game with them, I don't think you would ever know what pitch was coming.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. Game setting, in an actual game setting, when they're
Oh,
strategizing, I couldn't touch it. I don't think.
But
Like if you just
practice,
lined up,
maybe.
and they can have different pitches. I'm not saying they have to throw a fastball. I think that would be harder than the table because I think I could mess around, and if my reaction time was good on one, I might be able to hit, like reach out and hit and get lucky and the ball returns or something in table tennis. But I don't know. Olympians are different because you're talking about Olympians at the top, 100 people in the world and a pitcher. How many to make major leagues? You're probably top few hundred.
You get 50 Paul Skeens fastballs.
No chance.
Can you hit one?
No.
Don't even just make
I
contact.
mean, that's what I'm saying.
with
Just
it.
I don't
contact on
think
one.
if Paul Skeens was pitching to me fastballs, I don't think I would see one of the first 10. I would say
not.
that because I'm like, I'm going to let him throw the first one or whatever. I never swing at the first pitch. I just want to say, I don't think my mind could catch up to seeing the first 10, let alone trying to swing. No, I'm talking about your into the line reliever that comes in when you're down by 10 runs on the Athletics. That's who I'm talking about, maybe. If you give me, Paul Skeens, no chance. You're just embarrassing me now.
103.
Give me the guy that
Have you
throws about
seen- remember
88.
We at the Louisville Slugger Museum, they have one of those it's an enclosed thing, and basically they have a wall, a poster of a pitcher, and there's a hole where he throws the ball, and they've got a thing that catches it down here, and it's not 93 or something. I think I can't remember 95. I mean, you cannot and it lets you. It's glass, so you can stand, at least, and you can't pick it up.
I've seen 93 in real life, and it doesn't feel like real life.
So you're saying when we did the VR headset and he pitched 99, that wasn't really 99? Because I fouled off a 99 mile an hour ball.
Well, the difference is 93 isn't gonna be it's not gonna be straight.
Yeah.
It's gonna move some way.
Yeah, it's different when you're watching the camera behind the pitcher. You're looking straight in. It's a different angle. And you're not even thinking, okay, what's he going to throw?
I think-
What's my
And
strategy?
the nerves of being in the box if 93 hits you.
Ugh. Yeah, Paul Skeens could throw it right down the middle. I might fall down. Maybe on the 11th pitch when I finally see it, I might fall down like, oh, please, I don't want to do this. All right, that's a good segue into your baseball segment, Landon. Go ahead and update us. Be easy. The Rangers have lost last 6 to 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna shy away from.
Corey Seager went 3 for 3 though, 2 home runs. I was like, okay, that's good. That's a good sign. But yeah,
I'm gonna shy away from the Rangers.
Is there any way, just real quick while you're pulling that up, is there any way the Rangers can get hot? And
They had a worse record last year.
they.
Do we think this team can compete like they did last
I
year?
want to say
Absolutely not.
I want to say at the 23rd of July they had the best record in July of any major league team before they went on this losing streak. So, I mean, we were talking about when they get they get reinforcements back. Young is back. Carter's not coming back. I don't have much faith in DeGrom being able to be that level of pitcher. Probably not. In fact, if they don't go on a run, and I'm saying win 15 of the next 20 or something like that, which would be ridiculous, I would say don't even push DeGrom back. Let's just save him for next year.
Did we really expect the Astros to be this team, though, this year?
I mean,
you are in the worst division in baseball.
yeah,
but
I mean, I thought the Astros would be like,
I thought they
I
were
think
gonna be
everyone was going to say
in a rebuild.
it's Seattle, Houston, and Texas, I think would be,
And Seattle just got even better.
yeah.
With
Yeah.
They made
the
some
moves
good
they
trade
made.
deadline moves. Houston, I kind of thought, I'm like, they have to stop being good. Like, they're getting older, losing players. And then how they started, I thought, okay, they'll come back a little bit, but I did not expect them to come back. Of course, I thought the Rangers would I thought they were going to be around 500 a little bit. I guess they're kind of around 500 outside of this losing streak, but they're kind of where I thought they were. I didn't think it would be this bad because I thought it was kind of fluky for them to win the World Series the way I thought they were. I thought they were going to get better. Maybe they still will. I know the Bally's deal is kind of money strapping them and that they didn't expect. And to last Rangers point, I think ownership may have taken a step back because they're like, we're going for a World Series. And it's like
And we
mission
got it.
accomplished. Yeah, they're like, let's keep this a competing team, but I don't know that they're ready to spend money and try to become a dynasty.
Yeah. Then I guess this would be in NL news. The former Padres pitcher Blake Snell throws a no-hitter for San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
They won 3-0. I believe that's his first no-hitter of his career. Threw it against the Reds, which is...
Some of the Rangers were going after in the offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the chances that they were going to
I
get
don't
him.
think
but-
so. It's the 18th no-hitter in Giants history. And I don't know where he was in all of history. I assume...
No hitters are getting more rare. I feel like they're not. I
Because
mean,
you got
because
to
they're
go a
not.
whole game for
They're
it.
not as rare as you think they are. But it seems like there's like 5 or 6 no
Just
hitters every
a
year.
lot of guys pitching a complete game.
That's the deal. Because there's a lot of times the guys will get pulled out, in a no
With a
hitter
no-hitter,
situation. Yeah.
Not a
The first one of
perfect
this year
game.
in MLB, right?
Yes. No, maybe, I don't know.
I think it was the first one this year, which is odd because, like I said, you see 4 or 5 a year
Yeah.
typically.
Oh, his first complete game in the MLB is a no hitter. So that's his first ever complete game
Yeah.
in his career, which is kind of crazy.
Which is what we talked about earlier. Like they don't,
Yeah.
you don't go complete game anymore.
It wasn't a perfect game, so he had walks, probably some errors, but did throw a no hitter. Judge is the first person to 40 homers again, and we'll probably see this until his contract expires with the Yankees.
At least he's not competing with Shohei. So I think Aaron Judge, Shohei are going to be.
7 feet, by the way.
Yeah, I saw a video showing every MLB park where it would have landed if he hit. But I think it's Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge every
Yeah.
year. MVPs in both leagues.
Yeah.
Maybe occasionally you get
Yeah.
your outlier.
Bobby Witt Jr. since June 30th is hitting 500,
Wow.
17 points higher.
The Royals came out of nowhere, man. Because weren't they like, they were definitely sellers last year because
Yeah.
we got Chapman from them. Man, that's kind of out of nowhere. More out of nowhere than, I mean, the Rangers weren't complete. I mean, we knew they were going to compete last year.
Yeah.
Not for a World Series, just for I think they were kind of, I mean, they won 90 games. That was a little surprising. But the Royals came out of nowhere.
17 points higher than the next qualified hitter
For that time period since
since June 30th.
June 30th, over a month. That's
The Orioles called up Jackson Holiday again. They also called
Did
up
you see his first at bat?
Grand slam in his
Grand
first
slam
at bat.
his
They
first
also
at bat
called
back
up
to the majors.
after we were trashing him, like, maybe they called him up early. Hey, that's good on us. We were like, yeah, they called him up too early. They need to.
They called up a Kobe Mayo, who hit 308 with 23 home runs in the minor leagues. I'm assuming that worked out well for
I
them
mean, they're
because I
like-
didn't see anything bad about it.
Being the second team in the American League, I mean, now's a good time for them to be hot and to bring up this talent.
This is weird for me to say. I don't know if I've expressed this on the podcast yet, but I'm not a Yankees fan. I can't stand them. But them signing Jazz Chisholm has made me watch a few Yankee games. And I think they won the trade deadline by a lot.
Yeah.
In 4 games, he hit 400 with 4 home runs, 8 RBIs.
Yeah. I guess you follow baseball more now where you're going to get annoyed by those when like Yankees don't bother me because I haven't seen in my generation, because the Yankees, the first 3 times the Rangers made the playoffs in their history in the 90s, they always lost to the Yankees. So I think that was like maybe the generation above ours, or just people a few years older than us, just like they can't stand, just like I can't stand the 49ers or the Packers for the Cowboys. Like the Redskins don't really, or the Commanders don't really bother me. The Giants not so much because Cowboys have kind of owned them recently.
Mm-hmm.
But the Yankees, the time I can remember in the playoffs, we beat them in the ALCS. So to me, the Yankees don't bother me
I just don't
as
like Derek
much.
Jeter.
Yeah.
And every time I mean,
He hadn't
Derek
played in a
Jeter?
long time.
well, how do you not see Derek Jeter when you look into
I think
their
Jazz
uniform?
Chisholm definitely changes that a lot for a lot
I
of
feel
people.
like he
Because he's like a fan
embodies
favorite.
New York.
Yeah.
I'm not a Yankees fan,
But
at
also
all.
Florida.
But-
right? He's like
Yeah.
the best of
he
both.
was
right?
amazing.
But
in
I
Miami.
want to see, like, I'll say history, but I just want to see good, like, stuff I know this, like the Rangers Diamondbacks World Series. I'm a Rangers fan, great. But that's not one you're going to remember. I'm rooting for
Well,
right
it's one that
now.
I'll remember.
Well, I'm rooting for, of course, it's our team, though. But if it's like Marlins, if it's Rays Diamondbacks, I'm rooting right now for a Yankees.
Dodgers.
Well,
or, I
Dodgers
guess-
would be good.
yeah.
I'm thinking Pirates, Yankees, Pirates, because
Yankees,
it's too
Pirates.
historic. They've back, like, Yankees have won 27 World Series. The Yankees won a lot of World Series when there were 8 teams in the league. I'm just saying, it's great, but when you've been around 100 and something years and you look back, man, the Yankees won a lot in the teens and 20s. Like, well, there was only 8 teams, but Yankees and Pirates are historic rivalry World Series wise. There's black and white TV with them. Dodgers and Yankees are the prolific.
Yeah.
So if we can, not that I want to see the Yankees make the World Series, but if they do, I want it to be Yankees Dodgers or Yankees Dodgers would get really annoying. I think that's overhyped like Yankees Red Sox. Like in the playoffs, sure, but like that's kind of they play how many ever times a year. It's kind of annoying and overhyped. But Yankees Pirates, Paul Skeens, Aaron Judge, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be over. The media would overhype that.
I mean, that
to
would,
hell,
it
but
would be
that
probably
would,
a 4-game series that the Yankees sweep. But
yeah, we're maybe looking like next year, because I think Yankees for the most part will compete. The Pirates are kind of getting there, assuming they don't screw it up and then trade Paul Skeens away in a couple of years because they're not competing.
The Yankees will be good for years to come. They have Judge on his super contract, Juan Soto.
Even if they don't, they're going to buy whoever, whether it's right or not. That's what I think. They have a lot of superstars that will get like Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig status if they can win a couple of championships. That's the roster and they have that roster a lot of the times. That Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig are just looked at that way because they won. I mean, obviously they're greatest. Yeah, two of the greatest players ever. I think Aaron Judge is in that category, but to be looked at long term in history, you have to win a few championships.
I think that they're like obviously they have the big star signings with Judge and Soto and all the guys that they've signed, big names. But I think some guys that got overlooked by most baseball fans are guys like obviously Jazz Chisholm gets a lot of recognition because he gets a lot of posts because he brings in so much fan exposure.
And I hope I like it. Like again, I'm not a Yankees fan, but I like it when the Yankees bring up somebody like that because Judge wasn't like he played
not super flashy.
Well, no, Judge played for the Yankees his whole career, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking Soto was traded. But
Soto's not super flashy, but I mean, there's not many people who are gonna come to their first game late because you got stuck in traffic after the airport
and then hit a home run.
Well, you walk in with a green like Liberty colored belt on, your hat's backwards, in a Yankees uniform. There's not many because the Yankees,
I think it's dumb. A lot of the rules they have, I respect it. Like, hey, it's kind of badass. You're like you have to shake. You can't like, which is dumb, but it's like okay, I respect them keeping that that up because Yankees is a brand. I respect the brand the same as the Cowboys. Like people hate the Cowboys. Like understand, respect, and then they're kind of in a similar situation where, as much as the Yankees spend since their Jeter dynasty in the 90s, they've won one World Series. I don't think they've been to another World Series. Oh yeah, they lost to the Phillies one year. So I think they've been to two World. They won in 2009 and then lost to the Phillies, whatever 2010 maybe. But as much as they spend, they've won one World Series in 25 years.
Yeah.
So kind of the same. And like you
really
said,
haven't
like
seen them spend on big talent, big names.
I mean,
like they used to.
I feel like they haven't bought.
I think they might be back there.
Back to do it. But I still I like the Judge. I like seeing Yankees that are Yankees their whole career. Yeah. Like sure they're gonna buy whatever. And I don't even count if they trade to different if they played major league. I know because like Adolis Garcia doesn't count as us bringing him up because he played for the Cardinals, but he played most of his productive baseball for the Rangers. We didn't buy him. Yeah. In fact, they paid us to take him.
Yeah.
Us, the Rangers. But the Yankees are one of those teams like, okay, if they're going to win, if they're going to be there, it's annoying too. But I want to see historic, like I want to go, 40 years where my grandkids are asking me about watching Aaron Judge play because he's an all-time great Yankee.
He's
not
the
that
captain.
Soto, exactly. Not that Soto's not going to be looked at, but it's like he didn't play the career for the Yankees.
Yeah.
The same thing like we talked about Jerry Jones basically making Tony Romo retire. That made me like I don't want like when Emmitt Smith went to the Cardinals. I'm like I know Emmitt Smith's never going to be
almost tainted that.
No, he doesn't go to Cardinals events. Nobody looks at him as a former Cardinal. He might be in the Cardinals Hall of Fame. I have no idea, Ring of Honor, whatever. But like Troy Aikman, Tony Romo, I hope Dak Prescott. The day he's not a Cowboy, he just retires. If he's not this year, I don't think that's going to happen. But that's the brand. The same with the Lakers, the Cowboys, the Yankees. That. That's why they don't have a lot of alternate uniforms. Cowboys basically wear the Lakers have a couple, but they wear the Yankees don't mess around. They don't have weren't they ones that didn't put ads on their uniforms?
Do they have no
I think until
ads,
now, right?
Or they have one ad on the sleeve, but it's pretty small and it's in their colors. You can't see it.
Yeah, we're the Mets, the red it looked like a State Farm thing,
Yeah.
which they eventually changed that. But I remember talking, I think last year the Yankees were one of like a few teams that didn't.
I don't
and
think
that's
they're
something
getting
like
City Connects either because they I mean, it's
no, it's
not
a
part of their
and in
brand.
fact they're going the opposite. They're taking the pinstripe or not the pinstripe, but the outlining of New York. I don't know if it's full time or if it's this year, but if it's full time or just sometimes, but where they don't have the New York outlined, where it's just New York in dark blue, and it looks more like the old uniforms. It's going the opposite direction. They're making it look, and I respect that too. Like Cowboys, it'd be cool if they have a bunch of different uniforms. Or I'm a Longhorns fan. It'd be cool if they had a bunch of different alternate uniforms. The college football 25, they have none. It's white jersey, orange jersey, which you're like, but that's kind of what the Yankees do. They don't want to. You want to see that the white pinstripes, the gray. Occasionally they'll wear the dark blue
I like
top.
I like their two younger pickups that they've had through off season. They picked up Alex Verdugo, who's a pretty flashy player, but he was really flashy, wore a lot of chains and stuff in Boston. Came to New York and kind of settled down a little bit, but Jazz Chisholm came over and he brought everything that he had in Miami.
Yeah.
He brought it to the Bronx, and I mean, now they're all wearing the Liberty Green arm sleeves. They're all, I mean,
I think it's going to be fun to watch. Like you said, I mean, I've never been a huge Yankees, like, not hater of them, but just.
it makes you want to
But
watch
I kind of
them
want
now,
to,
though.
you want to watch. Like, it's
Yeah.
going to be fun to
It's a
watch them. I
historic-
think it could be a team that, not being a Yankees fan, maybe you do root for them in the playoffs if your team's not in.
Yeah, just for those great all-time matchups, because
Yeah.
Because it's hard
Yankees
not to,
Dodgers is going to be the most rated World
It's
Series
not-
in a while.
it's hard not to want to watch one of the best players in baseball play alongside of one of the best young prospects we've ever seen in right field with Juan Soto.
Yeah,
Then you're throwing in probably the flashiest player in baseball in the infield, and you have Alex Verdugo, who's, I mean, just as good as anybody else in the league in the outfield.
and
They're all on the same team.
if they don't make some noise in the playoffs, that is like a big
Yeah.
disappointment for them and their fan base.
I mean, I think their biggest problem is really their catchers. Gleyber Torres isn't great at second base, but you can hide him at second base. Doesn't make that big of a problem. But their catchers and their pitchers, if anything holds them back, I think it'll be their catchers and their pitchers.
Yeah. All right. I mean, we talked kickoff and special teams for a long time. We talked Yankees more than we ever have on this podcast. But thanks for keeping it tuned in this long if you're still watching. And thank you for watching this episode of Leadoff. However you're tuning in, hit that like button if you like the show. If not, hit it twice. And don't forget to subscribe. With Tony and Landen, I'm Ashton. Have a great Saturday and a great weekend.